Welcome to Pantry Cleanout video number 2. If you didn't catch video number 1, it was my pantry infestation video and I cleaned out the whole bottom shelf. So today we're going to be working on the second shelf up. So we've done this bottom shelf. We're just going to go up and do all of the second shelf all around. So you get to watch me do that and wish me luck. It's never an easy job cleaning out your pantry, but hopefully you'll be inspired and motivated to get into your pantry and start cleaning it out. Even if it looks fairly organized, take everything out anyway, wipe everything down, and then when you get to put it back, it's gonna be in a spot where you're gonna see it really good, organize it really well, and it will just be cleaner and nicer. I will report that the pantry beetles are pretty much all gone. I see a little straggler from time to time, but from that first deep clean out, I think we got rid of them, and there was hundreds if not thousands of them. So we did it. We cleaned out the pantry beetles, but they have trickled their way to some of these other shelves, so I want to make sure that we get those other shelves wiped down, cleaned out really good. And as you can see, I have my air fryer right here in my pantry. It's plugged in and everything. This is where we do all the air frying. So it can for sure attract some pests if I'm not careful to be wiping it down and cleaning it from time to time, or pretty often actually. So we're gonna clean this out right now. You guys go ahead and get yourselves ready. You're gonna do the same. We're gonna put everything out on our cupboard here so we can see it. We'll lay it all out. And as you can see, I still have my balsamic vinegar here from Slovenia that my sister-in-law gave me. It came out of the pantry. We opened it up. I tasted it. Remember how amazing it was? It's still sitting out. I've been using it almost every day on salads. So I'm happy I pulled that out so I could see it. All right, on with the show. Tackling a project like this is no small feat. When you have a busy schedule day in, day out, maybe you work a full-time job, maybe you're growing a business, or maybe you have just a lot of things going in your life, you're raising little kids still. This is planning on cleaning your house in this kind of a deep clean way. It should be more of a regular occurrence. However, when we're so busy, we just tend to, we know it needs done, but we put it in the back of our minds and we do something else to distract ourselves from doing the things we know we need to do to upkeep a home. So part of my mission in life is to bring back homemaking and those homemaking skills of really learning how to be a good steward of your home, how to care for your home in a way where you can take pride in the place you live right now, knowing that you're doing your best to keep it clean and the upkeep of it is not so overwhelming because you're doing these tasks that can be draining, if you don't have the energy for it, especially if you've got any kind of chronic disease or illness going. It makes it harder for you to do these kinds of chores. So you either have to outsource it to somebody, pay somebody to come do it, or you just have to do it. I don't have any other way of saying it, but just kind of making yourself do this grunt work. And I find that as you get your body moving and doing these chores, maybe you're watching some YouTube videos on cleaning or housekeeping, and it's really starting to encourage you and motivate you, and you can start to feel really good about it. So as I'm getting to this shelf, I'm actually finding quite a bit of those pantry beetles. I know they are just getting in wherever they can, and they have been. So my thing was, I just sort of neglected this work, thinking the weather was going to cool down, they'll go away. But the weather doesn't really cool down here in Arizona. We get really nice temps, probably around November, December, January. But I don't want to live in a house that's got bugs in it and it's kind of got this infestation going and then just me ignoring that. It's just careless on my part. So I'm going to take out, I've got some alcohol here, And what I use the alcohol for is I've got some vodka I keep on hand to make homemade vanilla, and I do have a recipe for that on my channel. You can go check that out if you want to. I also use red cooking wine whenever I make a beef pot roast, because it just puts another depth of flavor into that pot roast. So I always have some of that on hand too. So what I'm doing is spraying down all of these shelves with some vinegar. I have a vinegar cleaner I just put together by myself, and I am taking paper towels first. And look how dirty. I mean, each shelf is just dirty. And they didn't look dirty, but they just are. And I think we underestimate as homemakers how much dirt is just kind of in the air, and especially in Arizona, getting onto our shelves, and we're not dusting, we're not wiping things down as often, especially in this pantry where we think, well, hey, food's sitting here, so it's not getting dusty. But it does, it gets dirty. So now I'm coming in with a heavy-duty microfiber Norwex cloth, just water, and giving it a nice deep wipe down here, best that I can. There, that feels really good. Okay, the next thing is to go through everything. This whole entire cupboard is full. I've got stuff just sitting over here on cupboards and countertops that I just gotta go through, and stuff on the floor. Some of it's going to be contaminated with the pantry beetles, and other stuff will be fine. I like to put anything that is a powder of any kind or dry into mason jars. I have a lot of those, and then I just label the mason jars, put them back on my shelf. So I've got to go through all of this and figure out how to organize it better now. So this might take a while. Let's go. All right, one tried and true method I do love to do for my food storage is put everything that's in a package into a mason jar. I've got a lot of mason jars, pint size and quart size and half pint size, and I'm just smushing down some brown sugar, some Truvia brown sugar, and I'm gonna label it. I just always have some masking tape and a Sharpie in a drawer here in my kitchen to label everything to get ready to put these on the shelf. I found that if I can keep things in mason jars with a tight lid on it, bugs, weevils, it doesn't get to them. And I've even found that my brown sugar will stay fresh and soft when put into mason jars. And I hadn't been doing that, and my brown sugar was just getting hard as a rock. So I'll show you that in a second. But to bring brown sugar back to life, if it is hard as a rock, I just take a slice out of an apple and throw that in the brown sugar bag. Usually by the next day, pretty much the whole package is soft. You can also take a piece of bread that's soft and put it in there, because it will add moisture to the brown sugar. I'm combining a couple of red wines here into one bottle just to make more space. We're going to have a lot of containers and boxes and stuff that we're throwing away that we're just taking up space in the pantry. We don't want to take up a bunch of space like that. So I've got these boxes of pickling salt, and this is ice cream salt actually I'm putting into these jars right now. So I'm going to put them into mason jars now, and then just label them. They'll stay fresh, they'll stay good forever. Salt lasts forever, I have found. You can tell me different if you found something else, but I always have salt on hand, and it lasts for as long as I'm going to live, so it's great. I'm also making some bone broth, some delicious bone broth right here on my countertop in my crock pot. So if you want to look for my bone broth recipe, it should be on my page as well. But for my bone broth, I'm using some knuckle bones that were given to me from a friend who bought a beef and she had the bones. I took the bones from her. Thank you so much, Susie. You're awesome. And I just poured some water in there. I chopped up really rough chop with the skin on, put an onion in there, a couple of carrots, and a couple of celery sticks. I put about a tablespoon or so of apple cider vinegar and some peppercorns,
And then I just set my crock pot to a high temperature. It goes for about 8 hours on high, 8 hours on low. That's how we do it, folks. And then you have delicious bone broth to make your rice in, soups for the week, or just to sip on for joint and bone health, just overall gut health too. Really healing, really great stuff. Now, as you're pouring things into the mason jars, you're gonna make a mess, you guys. And so what you're gonna do is just simply have your vacuum right there. And you're gonna be able to suck up anything you're stepping on that's bothering your bare feet down there because it spilled on the floor. And that's what I'm doing right here. It's just wiping things down, putting things in jars, getting things out of the original container they came in, just to simplify my pantry. And I want to be able to see it all. I want it labeled. This always looks more of a homesteader's pantry when I have all my mason jars there. I've got these little drink packets, probiotics and hormone balancing little drinks in these little sachets, and I'm putting them in that white basket there. This is a container of tahini, and it's probably halfway empty, so we're just gonna scoop this out best we can. This was a rough one to scoop out, actually, and get into this half-size pint jar, but I'm gonna keep it fresh in this glass jar instead of the plastic. I prefer having everything in glass versus plastic. We've got way too much plastic in our world, don't we? So it's nice when you can just put things in glass, label them. It all looks uniform. It looks nice in your pantry. And it works so good. It keeps everything so fresh and clean. I love it. So there we go. We're going to label that tahini. And if you're like me, you know, you've got recipes you try and it's only calling for a couple tablespoons of tahini here and there. So you've got all these condiments in your fridge and all these extra sauces and things like that that you're not using the full bottle of. And so, you know, it's good to have those little half pint jars so you can put the leftover in there, and either if it's a pantry thing, put it back in the pantry. If it's a fridge thing, put it in the fridge, but it'll keep it fresher longer. Now I do have some powdered milk here, and these number 10 cans are awesome for food storage, but you know, they start getting down, halfway down, I can put it into a mason jar. It'll just fit so much better. And I can use this powdered milk in my Pero or my cacao drinks, and you know, whatever I'm drinking in the morning. This is a really great creamer just to put in whatever you're drinking. Now this was infested. I pulled out a bag of flour and it was bad. I just punched that brown sugar bag because I wanted to show you how rock hard it was, and basically hurt my knuckle there for a second. But I'm coming in here and I'm analyzing really where I'm going to put stuff back, and I really want my brain to know where this is going, so I'm going to keep a lot of the things in the same place. So this whole shelf right here is going to be the things I use for baking. So I'm going to be pushing stuff in the back that I don't use as often, but I can still see the label. And I'll be able, there's some gluten-free flours I'm going to be putting back here, and just, you know, things I'm not going to use super duper often, but I'm going to have that recipe come up and I'm going to go, oh yeah, I need some sorghum flour or whatever. Well, I'm just going to know that I'm keeping them all back by that wall, and that's where I will pull from when I have an odd item I need for baking. And then I'll just bring things to the front that I use more often, the sugar, the flour. So there'll basically be a gap between that back row and the real front row where I'm going to be putting some of the main stuff that I use more often. You'll get to see what that looks like here in a second. So just know that this homemaking business is awesome. If you can really get this down and go back to your roots of understanding how to upkeep your home, clean things out, meal prep, meal plan, taking care of your family in this way is one of the best things I think a woman can do, and step into her own superpower of just nurturing and healing and helping and loving and creating a space where everybody just feels so good. good to be in.
All right, let me show you what I've done in here. I've put all of the extra equipment to the air fryer right next to it. This is still going to be our shelf for all of our baked goods. So as you can see, the baking ingredients are all kind of back there. I left a space between front row and back so I can kind of really look in there and get to things and not forget that they're back there. There was one time when my kids loved when I made these hash browns that are freeze dried and you just rehydrate them, but they don't really like that anymore. But I have a bunch of them, so they're going in the back corner. Wire racks from the Dollar Tree, and these wire baskets are also from the Dollar Tree. I had them in here and they were kind of being used here and there, so we're just gonna try again. Kids oatmeal here. This is not Health Coach Heather approved oatmeal, by the way, but this is what they like to eat. They're teenagers, and I don't regulate every little thing they do because, you know, when you have teenagers, they get to kind of make their choices after you've taught them what's right and wrong when food choices come around. Just some bars and, you know, options here. Here's our probiotic and our hormone balancing drink, little sachets there, so we can remember to take those in. This bucket's still working for me for rice and beans. I just always know rice and beans is in here, so I can just pull that out and get what I need from there. So I'm gonna keep that as is. And then pasta will go here. I put all these little Chick-fil-A, you know, ranch or Chick-fil-A sauce. If you want to grab one, put it in the lunchbox for something. Again, not Health Coach Heather approved, but nevertheless, the kids like them. Just some ramen in here. My kids love ramen. And so when we get to this shelf, we're really gonna have to organize all of that and this. Okay, I'm excited to get to that next. So look how nice though. It's nice and clean, nice and organized. We got the booze back in here for cooking, and you know, I make with vodka, I make my own homemade vanilla. So I keep some of that around too. And you never know when you need a barter. If it's the last days and you got some alky that's like dying and they're gonna trade you a loaf of bread for some alcohol, cool, let's do it. We've got our bottled water down here. I still got plenty of space here. Lots of good space down there too. So we've really cleaned out a lot of good stuff because I have downsized from things being in boxes to just putting them in jars. Now, jars to me are the best because they're clear, you can see through them, they're easy to label with just some masking tape. And then you just, when you're done with it, you just peel off that masking tape easily, throw it away, wash the bottle out, put it back on your high shelf up here till you're ready to use it again. Pull them down and do what you gotta do. So this is video 2 of probably a 5-part series of pantry cleaning. Let's see, how many shelves do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this will be a 6-part pantry clean out. We just got shelf number 2 done, and we are looking clean here, folks. Lots of good space. I'm not planning on filling these shelves up anymore. So, you know, I want to use up what I've got. I want to use what I've got. I've just about got the countertop cleaned off. What was happening over here is I do have some extra containers. So I will find a use for those. In fact, I might put the brown sugar, this big bag of brown sugar, in one. But it's solid as a rock. So I'm gonna get a piece of an apple in there and see if we can't soften it up. And then I just have a few more things to kind of go through, put away, but it's just little stuff. So we're there. We've basically cleaned off the floor now. That stuff I need to find a home for. That's for my freeze dryer, which I'm getting a new pump for soon so I can freeze dry again. But yeah, this is looking good. Something spilled here. But yeah, it's looking good in here, and I feel really good about pantry clean out. Shelf number 2, it's a lot more work than you think. You're gonna plan on an hour, but it's already been just about 2 hours now since I started, and I didn't get my workout in. I've got to figure that out still for the evening. Thanks for joining me for part 2. And thanks for liking and subscribing to my channel. And you guys are awesome. Have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye.